are watching Influence Media, PSI TV, the Netflix of biz brands.
Free money. We all want it. Today, I'm going to talk with my friend Jacqueline Grant. And guess what? Grant's not just her name. Grant's her writing game. So anyway, what we're going to be talking about here today is the most popular free money strategy that you probably already have heard of, but have no idea how to access. So again, my guest today is Jacqueline Grant, and she is uniquely qualified to help you find, apply, and win grant funding for your business. She's a business coach and consultant, and for 25 plus years has helped businesses properly position themselves to successfully obtain grant funding. Every grant she's written has been awarded, with the single largest grant being for $1 million. She's also participated on review boards. She's responsible for selecting and awarding grant applications and bringing a unique perspective to the grant writing process. This expertise positions Jacqui as our subject matter expert today, but she has other interesting things in her background, such as her master's degree, being a regional executive director for 7 YMCA locations, national business consultant for the headquarters of the Girl Scouts of the USA, and program manager for prestigious organizations such as the New York City Department of Social Services, HUD, and being big sisters of Los Angeles. She is the founder and owner of Train the Trades LLC, the Management Academy LLC, empowering entrepreneurs with business management and professional development services. Welcome, Jacqui.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Fantastic. So, Jacqui, are grants only available for nonprofit organizations, or can for-profit organizations get grants as well?
Well, that's always a tricky question, and many people think that it's one or the other, but it is actually both. And what I'd like to ask you to remember is 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. You'll remember what that's all about in just a minute. The 3 types of grants are government grants, corporate grants, and private foundation grants. So that's the 3 types of grants. Who can apply for them? That's the 2. For-profit businesses and nonprofit businesses. That's the 2. What was the 3? 3 types of grants. Who can apply? For-profits and nonprofits. That's the 2. We'll see what the 1 is shortly. But yes, it can be for either one, but it all depends on the grant and what the requirements are of that particular grant.
Awesome. So we know that you've successfully written grants for others for their mission. Have you ever written a grant that benefited the mission you were on? Meaning, you've been on both sides of the grant writing table?
Absolutely, absolutely. I've written grants for others, and I've been a part of the grant writing process from that standpoint, but I've also been on the other side of the table where I've actually been on boards to approve grant writing applications, approve the grant writing applications of others, so that I know what the grantor is looking for when they are determining who to give their very precious dollars to for their particular causes. So I have that keen insight behind the scenes to know what grantors are looking for, so that I can help position my clients to be able to position their grant applications in the best possible way, because I know what the other side is looking for.
Amazing. All right. So can grant money be used to pay, for example, the salary of the person managing the nonprofit?
Great question. And the answer is absolutely yes. Anytime you write a grant, you have to put together a budget. And your budget needs to include not only your overhead and your expenditures and so forth, but part of those expenditures are the salaries of your leaders and your staff members and whoever else you have on your team that is part of your financial budget. So this is a way for you to be able to hire the people that you want and need, and pay for those you may already have, by incorporating their salaries as well as their, what we call bennies, their benefits, into the budget. And that way it's all taken care of. There's one of the big misnomers that nonprofit means no profit. That's not true. It's just a terminology issue. On a for-profit business, it's called profit. But on a nonprofit business, it's called a surplus. So after everything is paid, including salaries, including all the other budgetary items, whatever is left after that is called a surplus, which for a nonprofit business needs to be reinvested back into the business. So that's the key difference.
Okay, what are the drawbacks of attempting to apply for a grant on a DIY basis? A lot of people are trying DIY for many things. I mean, even things they have no business doctoring themselves, you name it, the DIY strategy. There's a YouTube video for almost everything. What are the drawbacks of trying to do that as a DIY?
Loss of time, money, and risk of not getting the grant at all. So every grant has a timeline when it opens and becomes available and when it closes for application so that the review process can start. And if you, quote, do it yourself and you are not well versed in what to do, what to look for, how to position yourself and your business, any collaborative partnerships that might be involved, you will waste time going back and forth trying to find the right information. Or if you submit it and there is the opportunity for feedback and they give it back to you before the window of application closes, again, that's a lot of back and forth that's unnecessary. Number two, you're putting in a lot of risk, wasting time by just kind of winging it and not knowing what they're looking for and what is required. This is a very strategic process, any type of grant writing opportunity, whether it's from the federal government, state, local, or private. You have to cross every I and dot every T. They are looking for reasons, in essence, to knock out as many applications as possible, because you can imagine for any one grant opportunity, there are hundreds, if not thousands of applicants, and they are looking for ways to weed out as many as possible so they don't have to waste time going through ones that aren't going to make the cut. So when you are in line and properly positioned, you can have a better chance of rising to the top and being considered for award. So you waste a lot of time, money, and effort and pulling out your hair.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, applying for a grant, it does involve a lot of work. You kind of alluded to that a little bit right there, to just meet the requirements of that grant. So that being said, and with all that work involved, grant writers, kind of what you're doing right now, you're sharing the stuff you've probably said a million times to all the people that you've helped. There's a lot of repeating yourself, mostly because of the myths and the misinformation that people have coming into this process. So tell us a little bit about the costs around, because you spoke to the risk and the cost, but let's get deeper into that. Speak to those costs.
Well, one of the big myths out there is that grant writing is free because they think it's free money, so everything associated with it is free, but that is not true. It costs not only to put together a grant package, because a grant writer is going to have to bring their expertise, which did not come at a zero cost, to help position you in the best way possible. When you have a good grant writer, they are going to bring expertise, which again comes at a cost. It is not free, because when a grant is even submitted, the turnaround time between the close of the actual application period and the review period could be weeks, if not months. And then once the review has closed, there might be another question and answer period. There might be other requirements, and that all is time. A grant writer cannot wait 6 months, 8 months or so to be able to be paid for their service. And you know the saying, you get what you pay for. And so if you have someone who is, number one, either going to guarantee that you're going to get approved or that they will do it for free and wait to get paid, I would say run in the other direction, because they either are very inexperienced and just trying to get clients to get started, or they don't know the grant writing process, because as a grant writer, you never are involved in the approval process of any grant. So you cannot guarantee an outcome in which you have no say or participation in the approval process. So you have to be able to look at not only the grant writer cost, but also your miscellaneous costs. You also have to look at, for example, how to actually implement the grant. Do you have someone who can implement all the things that you're creating for this particular grant? Your staffing has to come into play. There are a number of different things which you have to look at that allows for a smoother process. So you either are going to pay up front or you're truly going to pay on the back end.
You know, even the people who are asking or hoping that the grant writer works for free, they don't work for free. You know, it takes time to do this, several hours, maybe even several weeks to put the whole package together, and to really think that somebody could work for free for that period of time, meaning they've given up the opportunity to do something else and think that that could be free. So guys, I knew this was going in this direction. I really needed to bust the myths, because a lot of people are looking for grant money, free money. They want it. Great, fantastic. But there is a process. Nobody works for free, and this is a process, and it takes time for a grant writer to get the information, put your package together, dot the I's, cross the T's per the criteria for the grant. And Jacqui has done this many, many times. And so that's why I have her on, because as a subject matter expert sitting on both sides of the table, writing the grant application and being the one who helps to approve it, you're getting a good overview of this, guys. Because
one other thing, Trudy, if I might share with your audience, one of the other major components to the cost of attempting to have a grant approved is the fact that for your grant writer, there's research that has to be done to find grants that you would qualify for, plus the actual cost of writing the grant. So you may take on the component to save some costs by researching for appropriate grants. That, if you do it yourself, is going to take you longer because you're not knowing what to look for. But that's somewhat a way of saving some costs. But again, time is money. It's going to take you more time to save that money. So there's the cost of research, and there's the cost of the actual grant writing. And understand, depending on the type of grant writing that is required for the particular grant, it can be a short application, 1 page, 5 page, or it could be a 30-page application. Again, different costs. So it all depends on the actual application.
And having done the time for the research, spent the money for the grant writer, you don't want to get somebody who does not know what they're doing, and now your chance of being selected from this huge pool of applicants for this small opportunity for 1 or 2 people to get it, you really want to up the game by getting somebody who knows what they're doing. So I have another scenario for you, Jacqui. So a friend of mine, she has a program, and she has a grant that pays out. I'm not quite sure how this works, but she gets paid for her services on a for-profit, and she offers the identical services to underprivileged people, and the grant pays her for that, but it's per participant. And I was just, of the opinion you get all this money up front, or how does this work?
Well, let me share this with you. There are some commonalities across the board with any type of grant, no matter who the source is from. Let's say, just to use a round number, you receive a grant for $100,000, just to use an easy number. They're not going to award it all to you in one lump sum the day that you are awarded. They are going to give it to you either on a monthly or quarterly basis. And it's going to usually be based on performance. They're going to want to see what you're doing with the money. You will be putting together an application to say exactly what you're going to do with the money. Once you receive it, they want to see that you are doing exactly what you said. Now, granted, if there are major changes, the environment changes, economics change, and there needs to be changes to what your original plan was, there are accommodations for that, but you still have to submit within your reports why that change is necessary, and sometimes it has to be approved. But you are reporting on a quarterly or monthly basis what you're doing with the dollars. Now, as it relates to your friend's scenario, she is actually submitting what the value of each of those persons that she is providing the service to from her nonprofit standpoint, the value of that as part of the line item in her budget. And that would be part of her report as to what she is using the money for. So that's the scenario there where she is incorporating each person. So she's basically going to say, I intend to serve 20 people through this grant at a cost of whatever she's charging to the public at large. Let's say it's $2,000. Each value of her nonprofit client is going to be that same $2,000, and that goes against her budget for her grant.
Got it. Got it. So is there anything else that you'd like to share?
What I would really like to share is there's a lot of information out there around grants, free money. It's only free because you don't have to pay it back. But like anything else, nothing is free. You're going to have to do something for it. And it's those quarterly reports or monthly reports. And that can be a little time intensive. You have to know what you're doing. And that's why most times first applicants don't get awarded, because they aren't positioned properly. And that is not just positioning from a budget standpoint or a writing standpoint for the packet. It's for a number of other things that I can't go into with the time that we have here. But the do-it-yourself way is really not the way to go, especially on your first few applications, because you have to develop a track record for success. And you have to be able to showcase that in a certain way. And it's a good grant writer that can, in essence, take all the good that you're already doing and package it in such a way, tie a nice bow around it that makes it attractive to the grantor.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Jackie Grant, not just her name, but grant writing is her game. And you can connect with Jackie. Jackie, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you so much. And the last number one is that we can handle it all for you.